and welcome to the Weekly Review, a program brought to you by Sawasawa Network. I am Roger Alfred Yoron Modi. I am the producer of the show, and I am the host for this week's episode. This is part 1 of this episode, and in it we focused on COVID-19 in South Sudan. I'm going to quickly play for you an interview I did with a co-founder of South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19. Stay tuned. Hello, we have Denaya Dennis with us. He is a co-founder of South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19. Welcome to the Weekly Review.
Thank you. It's an honor to be in your program today.
We would like to know, what is the South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19 all about? What is it?
Yes, the South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19 is a youth initiative that was started when the coronavirus was declared as a global pandemic. And so we are young people who are in our ways of, conducting our activities in our communities. And so we thought this is also an opportunity for us to come together as the coronavirus has been announced as a global pandemic. So we thought it's very important that we need to come together as a youth. So we started this group as an online platform where we share content and information about the coronavirus and the key information about it, because when it was declared, many people and many communities didn't know, the coronavirus and what it is and how it is spread and how you can protect yourself. So we started as an online campaign, as an online platform on social media. And then everybody, was coming in and sharing the information that is right. But also we know that there is misinformation, there is wrong information which is going on there. And another thing is that most of the people realize they are not online, they're in the communities. And so our approach was two ways. We have the online, and then we also go into the community. So it's an initiative of young people coming together to put their resources together, their brains and their time voluntarily to go to the communities and to sensitize the communities about the coronavirus. So that is what the South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19 is all about.
Who are the founders? Also, is it open to everyone?
Yes. If you have been following us on Facebook, we have a Facebook group that we almost invite every young person to join the group, because that's where we also give updates. We get to know what is happening around the country. And so the youths come from different parts of the country. We have from Jongle, we have from Wa, we have from Ye, we have from Rumbek, and we have others even in the refugee camps in Uganda. So it is an open platform where everyone comes in and tells us what he or she is doing in their community. So it's very open, and we welcome everyone who wanted to join the have about 1,000 plus members. And as well, we have a WhatsApp group, which is also open, and except that WhatsApp cannot take more than a limited number, which is about 270 or so. So we have a WhatsApp group page, where we're also sharing the same information we have on Facebook, we share in our WhatsApp groups. So the founders, I am one of the co-founders, and then I have also a colleague, and we're about 7 of us who came together to start this initiative from the beginning of I think March. Yes, March. That's when we started it. So we are 7 of us who founded this initiative.
And on the ground so far, what have you been able to do in Juba or around the country, or even in the refugee camps? Those who are under your direct line of work.
Yes, as I said, perfect. So what we did is, when we started this, because we know that there are youth out there who would love also to volunteer and to give their time, to go out in carrying out the sensitization. So we advertised on social media and we asked for uh, youth, those who are passionate about volunteering. So many of them applied, and we have about 60 of them that we have recruited as our volunteers. Some of them have been doing an amazing work online. And as I said, we have some of them from the different parts of the country. We have those in Yei, we have those in Yambio, we have those in Rumbek and other parts of the country. We even have other volunteers in Nairobi who are also sharing with us what they're doing. So in Juba, just because we are also limited with resources. So in Juba, we have a number of 19 volunteers who have been dedicating their time and given all their resources, all that they have, to go to the communities in carrying out this sensitization. So our approach is we go door to door. We teach people about the basic information about the coronavirus and how they can protect themselves. So we have been going to the remote places, places like Lemungaba, places like Gureye, places like Lologo. And these 19 volunteers have been doing a very tremendous work, updating that, tell them how many households are being reached. And it's an awesome thing that started. And seeing also other young people, even people from the community, getting involved, and like they want to join this team in making sure that the right information is being shared across the communities.
How do you get the right information that you spread to the people? Uh, you have scientists, or you have sources that you get the information from, or you do your own information? How do you come up with those messages to the people?
Applied to them and said we have a team of young people who are organization. So when we submitted and they did orientation for, so the messages that we are sharing and telling the communities are not our own messages. These are messages that are being developed and recommended by the Ministry of Health, by the Center, and also the World Health Organization. So it's the same information. We get it, and then we take it to the communities. And what we normally do is that there are communities that they don't speak English, and even others don't understand Arabic. So the volunteers we have come from different backgrounds, and most of them speak different languages. So when they go to the communities, they make sure that they're able to explain the key messages about the coronavirus, and to the communities that cannot understand a specific language, but one person can understand. So basically, the information that we share is from the Ministry of Health, from World Health Organization, and as well recommended by the CDC. It's just the same information everywhere that is being passed.
And beyond dissemination of information, uh, teaching the people about coronavirus, and telling them how to protect themselves, is there anything that you people do? Is there anything that you have done so far as the youth?
Yes, we have done a couple of things, and I would want to say thanks also, because when we started this, we didn't have any support, and we always tell people to wash their hands. We tell them to make sure that they wear gloves, the masks. But there are some communities which are so vulnerable, and some of them cannot afford those hand washing facilities. So we also submitted a request, and together with Code Aid, they were able to help us with some masks, some buckets, and then some soaps. So besides teaching people and telling them the information, we also look at those vulnerable families, and we make sure that at least most of them, if not, they have at least a soap, or else they have the bucket for hand washing, or else a mask for those that we know in the communities. Maybe they move, sometimes they go to the market. So this is one of the things that we have been doing. And then in one of the communities in Jebel, in Rock City, we met an old woman who is so vulnerable. She stays alone, and she has no food, she has no good shelter for her. And one of the rains that came in Juba destroyed her house, and she couldn't, she was not sleeping in the house. She was sick, she was staying alone. And so as youth, we thought we can help this woman. So what happened is we also mobilized the resources and also put for her a shelter, a small tukul, where she stays in. At least right now, she's very comfortable. We also gave her some food items, and that is one thing that we did. And then the third thing that we did is that we initiated the support for Kenyi officers, and I think the news about him has been trending. So this was an initiative of the South Sudan Youth Fight against COVID-19. We wrote the story and we shared it with people. Like you see, we have these people in the community. This young man is doing an amazing work, and I think it is time for us to, to appreciate him for the work that he's doing. So basically, those are the major things that we have done since we started this initiative, and we are looking forward to doing more, in the country as well.
You talked about coordinate and as people who have supported you. Do you have like uh, those who have funded you so far, organizations or whoever? Could you at least tell us if you've been receiving support from who and who to do your work?
Yes. Mostly when we started, we didn't have any funding, and we did our own mobilization. People contributed. There are those who contributed masks. There are those who contributed boxes of soaps. There are those who contributed different things, and because of that, and our when we approached Cody Aid, I think they also loved what we're doing because we're giving updates and talking about what we're doing. So we got a support from them, and I think up to now they are the ones supporting us when we go to the field, because we also had a challenge with logistics. So they came in and they're like, you know what, we want to do this together with you. However, we also received some support from MGRUS when we started our initiative, and other individuals and some people who thought that this is a good initiative and they wanted to be part of it. But at the moment, our main partner that has been with us is Codate.
Then your observations in doing your work, what lessons have you learned and uh, the kind of challenges and responses that could be improved? What have you seen on the ground while helping this fight against COVID-19?
One thing I want to say about the impact, let me just get to the impact, is that, we know that everybody has a role to play, and many people have been doing their best. For example, if you go to the communities, there are people who drive with music, songs about the COVID-19. If you listen to the radio stations, there are messages that are being shared all the time. But, something is here that sometimes people want to relate with people. And when we went to the communities, we realized that people have heard the messages on the radio stations, either from the telecommunication companies, but they just listen to it like anything they can listen to. So when the team goes to the ground and begins to explain to them, because when you tell someone to wash your hands, you know, uh, some people don't take it like as a positive way. It's like, sounds like news. It sounds like a song. It sounds like anything. But when the team goes to the community, they demonstrate everything that, is being shared on the radio, and they begin to tell them, even when they talk about social distancing, they have to tell them that this is the distance that you need to keep between you and someone. And then the reason why it is important for you to keep, in a social distance. So those are the things that, when they were getting that information, most of them are very happy. And also they felt that for sure they are loved. And if that is what they really want to do, some of them have been, doing that, but unknowingly they just try, they try to do their best. And you find that people, when they wear their masks, there are people who cover their mouths like this, and then they don't cover their nose, and yet the recommendation is that you need to cover your nose. So all these things, when the volunteers go to the community, they tell the people, this is how you need to do it. This is the right thing you need to do it. This is, the reason why you need to do this. So the impact has been so great. And another thing is that as they get, to interact with the communities, there are questions that the people in the community can ask. So if these questions, the volunteers cannot answer them, we forward these questions questions to the concerned authorities or to like this from the communities. So how can we answer them? So like the volunteers can go, this is what you need to tell them, and this is what you need. Such kind of feedback and getting the information back and forth, sharing it that I can call of great impact. For example, for the team that has been going on the ground. Yes, we are so much proud of this because it has changed the lifestyles of the people that we have been meeting. At least we have visited most communities twice. And so the second time we go, we try to observe whether they really listened to what we were doing, or else if they still follow the instructions that we tell them. And some of them, as I said, in the communities now, those who understood, they are able now to explain even to others that, this is why we need to do this. This is why we need to do this. This is why we need to do this. So that became a very important part of our activity. For example, in the community, and engaging as well with the community leaders. We didn't leave the community leaders. So if there are chiefs in the communities, we make sure that we bring them together. They also understand these messages, and then they share them together with the people in the community. So it became a thing of a concern that, yes, we are really concerned about your life. We are concerned about you. We want you to protect yourself and protect the people that are within you. So this is one of the things. You talked about the challenge. In our plan, we actually wanted to read. Yeah, you talked about it. You asked about a challenge, which I just wanted to say this. So the challenges are different, and I can say one is this. For example, ours is as a team leaders, we found that our plan was to reach out at least to most parts of the country, to go to Ye, at least to send our volunteers on ground and do that. But we didn't have enough resources to, provide all the logistics, and with the restrictions given, so traveling to other parts of the country were really very hard. However, another challenge that I wanted to say in the program, in what we have observed from the communities, there are still people that who have had the information, but are still very resistant. And this is something that we're also trying to see how we can approach this, because people have had the messages, but you find that in some communities, still people live in groups, people are still great, people are still in contact, and this is the biggest challenge that we face, for example, in some of the places. And we are doing follow-ups, and we're trying to rethink of what next we need to do. And if that works out, then we'll have to look at the next approach that we want to bring in to see that at least the behavioral change is very effective, because now people have had the information, but implementing it is a very, very slow process. And yet numbers of the COVID-19 are increasing every day, and we hear the ministries reporting death cases and ABC. So that is another challenge that we also encounter through our program as we go to the communities.
Do you have any working relations with the national task force that has been formed by the government, the task force on COVID-19?
Not really so close, but there are people that we are always in contact with. For example, we have the Citizens Task Force. The Citizens Task Force is another one that has contacts with the National Task Force. So we always communicate with the Citizens Task Force, for example, the co-founders, and we also share information. We get to know what is happening in the country. So basically, we don't have a direct contact with the national, but through the Citizens Task Force, so we're able to gather information and as well share it, and it can reach to the National Task Force.
Okay, finally, what would you say to the government with regards to combating this, with regards to this struggle and the fight against COVID-19?
What I would say is this, and we have understood that this is a pandemic, and it is going to affect everyone, and everyone has to get involved in this, whether we like it or not. And so what we see is that the government has a very important role to play in this. For example, the policies and the strategy approaching the COVID-19, and the cases and what the government needs to do. And what is not clear is about the strategy, because we have been looking and talking about this, like what is the government strategy on the COVID-19, for example, the post-COVID, we want to look at, what is the government planning. Yes, we know the government is doing its part, but again, we say, in terms of policies and the restrictions in preventing this, they are the key players in this fight. So we want to say that if they can do all that they could, as the mandated ministry, for example, we see numbers are increasing every day, and sometimes citizens ask questions that even as volunteers, as the youth task force, sometimes we cannot answer them. So there are the people who tested positive still going to the communities, getting in touch with the communities, and sometimes there's a very low response and follow up, and these things, kind of demoralizes the moral of the communities, and sometimes they think the coronavirus announcements are just this is happening here. The government should really focus on the key things which is supposed to be done. For example, if somebody tests positive, what is this person supposed to do? Instead of leaving this person to go to the communities, the government should be able to have a place for isolation of these people who are tested positive, and at least advising, the communities or the people, they need to come out. We know that most youth and other organizations are trying to do their best, but I think also it's time that the government needs to come out, speak out on the radio stations, speak out to the citizens, tell them, the truth, what is happening about the coronavirus, the kind of treatment they're giving to the people. There are so many questions that the people would love to ask them. So what I would say is that let the government try its best. We know they are trying, but still it's not to the expectations of the citizens. So people are still expecting more, for example, from the concerned minister of health.
Well, Denaya Dennis, co-founder of South Sudan Youth Fight Against COVID-19, thank you for your time with us. We will always get in touch with you in case there is anything for the public from your side. Thank you. And that's it. That has brought us to the end of this part 1 of the weekly review. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned.